Hey everybody, welcome back to Hart Talks. Well, from the title of this video, I'm sure you're all panicking and thinking, is this going to be the last video? Has he committed murder and is he going to jail? Well, the answer to all those questions is no, I haven't. As some of you know, my friend Nello passed away just over a year ago now. If you don't know who Nello was, he was a 93-year-old friend of mine who had the most amazing life and had so many stories and so many adventures in his life. And in his 93 years, you know, just what a life. And I went over to San Francisco because Nello was dying and we knew it was going to be soon. So I went to say goodbye, really. That was the reason for my visit. I didn't go to care for him. That wasn't what was on the cards when I first went. But when I got there, I ended up staying at Nello's house. So I did take part with a group of other amazing people in his care. And it's funny how much came back to me from being a hospice nurse. Now, some of you know this about me, others don't, but when I was very young, 30 years ago, 28 years ago, I trained to go into nursing, and after I'd finished my training, I went to become a hospice nurse. Now, I always remember going on my first day at the hospice, and the hospice sister was a bit of a bitch. She wasn't a very nice person. And I was this young 19-year-old boy, you know, and she said to me, "Have you ever seen a dead body, Stephen?" And I hadn't, and I was like, no. So she took me right down to the mortuary that they had in the hospice. She pulled this drawer open in this fridge, and she pulled out this lady's body and said, "This is Janet Ross." I always remember her name because obviously it's the first time I'd seen a dead body, and I was petrified, you know. I just thought, oh my goodness. But that kind of started the journey of me caring for people who were coming to the end of their life. Being back in San Francisco last year and caring for Nello and doing the procedures that you do for somebody that is coming to the end of their life, it reminded me, and it's amazing how quick I kicked back into being the nurse. You know, it reminded me so much of that part of my life, which was an amazing part of my life. It was very hard, very difficult, very emotional. I cried a lot, but do you know, I've had a lot of jobs in my life, and obviously working in the West End, working off Broadway, amazing. You know, that's on one level. Working as a hospice nurse was another level, because being able to care for people at the end of their life is an honour, because the family, the person, allows you to be that person that is there caring for them round the clock, holding their hand, trying to calm their fears and their worries. And for us as nurses, we became very involved, you know, and you're always taught, don't get involved, keep that barrier between you and the patient, which is sensible. But when you're doing hospice nursing, it's different, because you have to become involved, because the family they depend on you so much, and this person is depending on you for every single last thing that they need. So it becomes very emotional, and you become like a part of the family for however long or short the journey might be. As Nello died, he was surrounded by just this group of wonderful people that talked about memories, talked about his life, talked about the good things and the bad things, you know. And I saw that so often when I nursed, because families would do that, and sometimes people had these huge amount of people like Nello had, and other times they had nobody. And that was where we came in even more, because we would never leave somebody that was dying. And, you know, you knew as a nurse, you know, from observations that you were doing on them, from just their condition, you could tell when they were coming close to the end. You could never tell when it was, but you knew it was going to happen soon. And as nurses, we never left anybody's side. If they were coming to that stage, we would always make sure that there was somebody with them 24 hours a day, throughout the night, you know. And I always remember sitting next to this woman's bed one night. Her name was Joyce. She'd been a headmistress in a school, and she was actually quite a scary character, you know, when she first came in, you know, and I'd kind of just kept out of her way, really, you know. But she'd come to this point in her life where she was coming to the end, and I was sitting with her and I was reading a magazine. It was 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I was just holding her hand, and she suddenly opened her eyes. She'd been in a coma for 48 hours, maybe more, and she opened her eyes and she said to me, "Stephen, what is heaven like?" And I remember being this kid, because I was really just a kid, and I just thought, oh my God, I don't know. And the answer I came up with was, "Joyce, I think it's everything that you think it will be, or everything that you hope it will be." And she closed her eyes, and 4 hours later, she passed away. And to be there holding somebody's hand as they take their last breaths is, as I said earlier, an honour. To be the one there monitoring them, to be the one there telling them that it's going to be okay. When somebody dies, it is like, not all the time, but quite often, it's like they start this process, and it can usually take a number of hours, even a number of days, but their breathing changes, and you know, their colour changes, and all their observations, you know, their heart rate, their temperature, all those things begin to drop. So you know, and to be there, to be able to lead them through that, and just let them know that they're not on their own, that there's somebody there, it's amazingly emotional, and quite often I would be with that person right up until they took their last breath. Then I would go into the kitchen and cry, and then I would get myself together and I would go back and make sure that I was the one that washed the person and made sure they were in clean clothes and all this kind of thing, just to make sure that you know, that we did everything for them. And in general hospitals, all those years ago, people still died alone. Now, the hospice was different. It wasn't because it was mainly, or because it was only for terminal care, you know, we were structured differently, so nobody was ever alone. So people often died alone in general hospitals. You would be rushing around, and then you would get back to the bed and they passed away. So to be there to never let anybody die alone was, yeah, an honour is the only word I can describe it. And I miss it, I do, you know, I miss doing what I did. I went into geriatrics after that and I hated it. You know, it wasn't what was meant for me, but being a hospice nurse was, yeah. And you know, nursing my friend Nello at the end reminded me of all these things, you know. It reminded me of what you look for, what you check for, but just reminded me about being there and making sure that they didn't feel alone, making sure that they weren't scared. I'm gonna cry. Just making sure that they just knew that there was somebody there with them right to the end. So yeah, that was me for 4 years of my life. Yeah, I did that for 4 years. It was an amazing time, you know, and I met so many amazing people, so many characters, so many, you know, so many people like Nello, you know, that had stories, that had comical things, that had tragedies, that, you know, and we would talk about them, you know, because that's what you did. You had time to sit and talk and hear their stories. So It was amazing. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched the videos that I did with Nello. I did 2 videos with Nello. I'll post them up here and you can watch them when he was well. We did videos when I was in San Francisco, and he was a character. He really was. Amazing man. And yeah, I suppose I just wanted to let anybody know that feels alone, that nowadays we're never alone. You know, whether it's clicking on a YouTube video, whether it's messaging somebody on Facebook, whether it's sending somebody an Instagram message, whatever it is, don't ever feel alone, because it's easy to feel alone. And it's easy to think that nobody cares. And I know that. I felt that over the years. But I care. And we might not be seeing each other every day, or we might not have even met, but I care. And there are a lot of people out there that care. So just remember that, and try not to feel alone, and try not to convince yourself that there is nobody. And yeah, if you ever want to go into hospice nursing, I suggest it. It's an amazing job. It's a hard-ass job. It really, really is. You have to have your emotions and be in control of them and know where to put them, and, you know when to release them. But you really feel, you come home at night feeling like you've done something good today. I would love to hear your stories. Have you ever had any experience of, a relative in a hospice? I don't know, maybe you've even experienced hospice care yourself, because they do care for people that have cancers and things like that, but are not terminal. So maybe you've had some experience of hospice. So I would love to hear about hospice experiences that you have had. So pop them in the comment section below. Please hit that like button if you like this video. If you haven't subscribed, what is wrong with you? How could you not subscribe? Are you crazy? Please hit that subscribe button, and I will be back in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time, and I will see you all then. I think I just wanted this video just to make people know that they're not alone. It's important. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Take care, everybody. Lots of love. Bye.